In summer, I was already practicing and training for the whole summer. So this was in February at the end of the summer, and I was training so hard to go to Australia because it's a Masters Championship which only qualify the top 5 in the world. So I was really excited to go, and I was really happy I was invited. So I was training so hard, and one of those days, jumping the ramp, I crashed, and I actually had an accident in my ribs, and it was like really hard coming out of the water and I couldn't breathe. So I was just like, okay, it's done, like my trip is over. But then like my trainer was like, no, you have to go swimming all the way to the dock. So I was like, okay, I have to swim. And then I swam, and then I could breathe a little, and I had to train 2 days after the crash and go to all the way to Australia. So when I was training, I was crying because it was hurting so much. And when I finished training, I packed my bag, my skis, and then I went to Australia. When I arrived there, I was really happy to be competing against the best in the world. That really motivated me to keep on going and to keep on training. And when I arrived there, we couldn't even train in the lake, and there was like trash all over the lake, and it had current, which I've never skied on current, and the water was actually seawater, so it was pretty difficult. And when I skied on the lake, that was the first time, and it was on the tournament because we didn't get time to even practice. So it was like you had to get in, and if you fell, it was over. So you had to be really concentrated, and that's one of the main parts that really put me into like tournament mode. And I got in the water, and I was so scared because there were waves all over the lake, and it was hard conditions. But I was just like, okay, like game on. But it was my ribs were actually still hurting, but I didn't care, and I just like skied awesome, and so I actually won the competition. I was so happy, and I called my trainer and I was like, thank you to make me do all that stuff, to swim to the dock and tell me not to stop, because he always sent me videos of girls that like broke their foot in the Olympics, and she kept on going gymnastics, and like in the final, she was doing her routine and she broke her foot, but she kept going and she won. So that was really like inspirational. So I'm really happy that I didn't give up in that situation. Like the thing that really kept me motivated, it was that I was already invited to the tournament. I was like top 5 in the world. So I was like, someone else that is like top 5 in the world in other sports wouldn't give up, and they just get hurt like right in front of a tournament. So I was like just like thinking about it and saying, okay, I have to work hard, because then if I do, I have a chance to win this tournament, and it's a Masters tournament, so it's really important in my career. If it's your passion, you don't actually like feel you have a barrier, because you know if you keep practicing and you keep going, you're sometimes gonna be like really good, or sometimes you're gonna fail, but it doesn't matter, and you have to just keep going. Because I've broken, not only like I have dislocated one of my ribs, then I have broken my head, my wrist. I've been knocked out like 3 times, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna just stop skiing and say, okay, just because I broke my foot, I'm not gonna keep going. Because I know one of my friends, Mexican friends, he was skiing, and right now he can't move all his body. He can just move his head and somehow his hands, but he's not supposed to, and he skis. So and he was named the best athlete like in his category. So it's obviously hard if you're like injured, but it doesn't mean that you have to stop. And if you're doing another thing that's not sports and you're not injured, if you're like just making mistakes, it doesn't mean you're bad at it, but you just have to keep going, because that doesn't mean you're actually not gonna succeed. It means that you're gaining experience, and that's gonna make you better at the end.